Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Aluga. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Thursday, October 24th. We are still very much celebrating that Orlando Magic opening night win. But today we are looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Green Bay Packers, Week 8. Welcome in to our Jaguars versus Packers preview. Jaguars 3-5, winners of 2 of the last 3. Maybe not impressive wins, but wins nonetheless. Facing the Green Bay Packers, who are 5-2, coming off a big win against the Texans. 5-1 in their last 6 games. Jordan Love is back playing the last couple weeks. This is a tough matchup, no matter how you spin it. The Packers are, one, very talented on both sides of the ball, both lines of scrimmage, skill players, quarterback, and 2, they're very well coached in all 3 phases. So it ain't getting easy for the Jags, who face the Packers and 3 other incredible NFC teams, talent-wise, over the next month. It's going to be very difficult for the Jaguars to maneuver and stay in a position to feel like they have a chance in this 2024 campaign. We do have some injuries to monitor, and we will start there. For the Jaguars, big ones to watch. Foye Oluokun with plantar fasciitis returned to practice in a limited fashion on Wednesday. Andrew Wingard with the knee returned to practice in a limited fashion as well. Travis Etienne still limited. Cam Robinson in the concussion protocol did not practice on Wednesday. So those are the big ones to keep an eye on for the Jaguars. For the Packers, limited on Wednesday, Jair Alexander with the groin, Kenny Clark with a toe, Keyshawn Nixon hamstring, Jaden Reed ankle, Christian Watson ankle, did not participate Wednesday. Elton Jenkins with a glute, Josh Myers wrist, Quay Walker concussion. If any of those players are unable to go, it will be a big deal for the Jaguars in this Packers matchup because they're all impactful. But the Packers are the type of team that can actually overcome injuries because of how well coached and talented they are. So definitely some names to keep an eye on there throughout the rest of the week. Recording this Thursday morning, so there will be more updates later this afternoon and tomorrow on the injury status of some of these players, right? Looking at the Packers offense, it really is one of the best and most dangerous in the league, and we'll talk about that here more in just a second. First, really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, or become a channel member here and get access to some cool perks. So again, starting with the offensive side of the ball here for the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur, I mean, he is not only one of the best head coaches in the NFL, which he absolutely is. Just look at his record in Green Bay. It's incredible the way he's been able to get his team prepared for football games. Week in, week out, season in, season out. And offensively, he's a mastermind. He comes from the Shanahan-McVay tree, spent a lot of time with those guys. He's sharp, he's smart. I think he's conscientious as well, and he is able to design offenses around what his players do best. And it's so impressive to watch. It really is. Jordan Love has become an incredibly dangerous quarterback to play against in this league. He can make throws that a lot of guys just can't physically, whether that be from an arm strength perspective or arm angles, being able to throw off platform. He's special talent. And now Jordan Love, he will give you some opportunities to potentially make some plays on the football. So that's something to keep in mind. But Jordan Love can torch you as well. They brought in Josh Jacobs this offseason, which was one of their big moves, and to replace Aaron Jones. Dylan is still on IR, but Josh Jacobs has been playing really well for the Green Bay Packers, no question about that. A guy that's a tough runner. You've seen him run through the Jaguars defense before. You've got to wrap up. You've got to swarm to the football. He might not be the fastest back in the league, but a very good running back that's going to be tough to deal with behind the offensive line that they have. At receiver, Jaden Reed, Dontavion Wicks, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. They just have so much speed, athleticism, route running prowess, and Matt LaFleur knows how to use these guys' skill sets. Absolutely. So huge challenge there. Tucker Kraft is going to be their top tight end, and this is a guy I loved. I would have loved the Jaguars to pick up. I mock drafted him to the Jaguars several times last year. Despite the Jaguars' tight end situation, I still thought Tucker Kraft would be a guy that could really help them out. And he's doing great for the Packers. He's so physical and just one of those like football players, the way he comes and buckles that chin strap and gets after it physically. But he's also a great athlete as well. So somebody that's going to be tough to deal with for them. Luke Musgrave is a tight end that also very talented, drafted in the same class by the Packers, but he is not going to be healthy for this one. So Tucker Kraft, the main guy to watch for there. I mentioned the talented offensive line. They do have a couple potential injuries to watch with Elton Jenkins and Myers there, but still, I mean, you look at the talent that they have up front and the scheme that they have, whether it's those two guys out there or someone else playing for them, they're going to be probably just fine. That's kind of how it looks for them, and that they can continue to address their offensive line through free agency, through the draft. And they're not perfect, certainly, but Zach Tom, great football player. Elton Jenkins, great football player. Rasheed Walker is a pretty good starter in this league. I do think if you're looking at maybe a matchup you feel okay about, I think that Josh Hines-Allen versus Rasheed Walker, Trayvon Walker versus Zach Tom, those will be interesting to watch. The Jaguars will certainly need those guys to play well. I mean, how does the Jaguars defense stack up as a whole to this Packers offense? To me, it doesn't look great. I think this is probably the best offense the Jaguars have played all year. So it's tough. It's tough. Absolutely is. Before we get to the defense, got to remind you all to check out Underdog Fantasy for Pick'em Best Ball and a whole lot more. You can use code DuvalDaily on their easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash Pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. It is currently Boosttober, so Underdog, they have a promo to play nearly every single day. There are tons of options for Jaguars versus Packers, Pick'ems, Trevor Lawrence on yards or touchdowns. You want to pick a guy like Tank Bigsby to score a touchdown. Maybe Josh Jacobs. Underdog has vulture protection to rescue your pick'em in case of a running back getting vultured. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code DuvalDaily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus, Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. Call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY in New York, or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Defensively, the Packers are just as talented on that side of the ball. They have spent a lot of premium draft capital and even some money to make sure that they have a really good group defensively. Up front, I mean, Rashawn Gary, not having his best season, but an absolute freak show, had a good week last week, so kind of getting hot at the wrong time if you're a Jaguars fan. Kenny Clark, one of the best on the interior. Preston Smith, still a very good football player. Devontae Wyatt, Lucas Van Ness, Carl Brooks, the list goes on and on for this team. They are talented up front, and they're well coached by Jeff Hafley. First year there, they brought him in to kind of take this defense in a new direction. I think he has done that. They're getting more and more disciplined. They're bringing some more unique pressure packages in certain situations. Lots of looks and balance on the back end. They do lean heavily into cover 3 and cover 1, which is the type of defense that Trevor Lawrence typically has a good time against, but this is a talented group. And so it's not going to be easy. And again, because they are more balanced than like an Indianapolis Colts defense, both from a talent perspective and from a play calling perspective, it's not as predictable as a Gus Bradley defense, right? They do have a pretty strong run defense on the year, but the Texans were able to run it on them last week. I think they really want Quay Walker out there to help them in that regard. But the Jaguars are running the ball well right now. Maybe that's something you can take advantage of there and get that running game going, keep the Packers offense off the field. They tackle well in the secondary. Xavier McKinney, I said this all offseason, he was one of the most underrated free agent signings across the league. And he has been great against the run, and he's been a no-fly zone. I think he has 5 interceptions already this year, another pass breakup. I think his quarterback rating allowed in primary coverage is something like 8. It's not a typo there. That is unbelievable. You do not want to test Xavier McKinney. And the Jaguars last week, they were wanting to throw over the middle of the field a ton. Again, that was based on the defense that they were playing against. They're going to have a different game plan this week. Absolutely. Evan Williams is playing very well for them. Keyshawn Nixon, he's playing in the slot for them. He's playing outside. He's on the field a ton. That's another guy to keep an eye on from an injury perspective, certainly. Javon Bullard was a young guy I loved out of Georgia this year as well. They've got talent back there, and then that's not even mentioning yet Jair Alexander, who still one of the best corners in the game. Maybe not the athlete he once was, but a guy that if you try to test him, he can absolutely make you pay. And so the Jags, just like their defense has a big test against the Packers offense, their offense has a big test against the Packers defense. So it's going to be a tough football game. There's no question about it. Brandon McManus is kicking field goals for the Green Bay Packers, so that's going to be interesting. I think he'll certainly have some extra motivation against the Jags. Whether that matters or not, we'll see. Matt Orszczek, who was the Jaguars' long snapper in 2019, is also the Packers' long snapper now. So a couple of familiar names and faces in the Packers' core special teamers. Rich Bisaccia, one of the best special teams coaches in the league for the Green Bay Packers. So they are well coached in all 3 phases, talented in all 3 phases. It's not going to be an easy one. It absolutely is not. Can the Jaguars beat the Packers? Yes, they can. But that will likely require clean ball control offense and some opportunistic play on defense and good, smart coaching decisions down the stretch. You haven't seen the Jaguars do any of those things for a full game. You haven't, in conjunction. You haven't seen the Jaguars do that in back-to-back games. So it's tough. Can they win it? Yeah, but they're going to have to do those things we just talked about. And make no mistake about it, this is a must-win football game for your Jacksonville Jaguars. They can only afford to drop 2, maybe 3 games the rest of the way. And if they fall to 2-6, I'm worried with the Eagles, Lions, and Vikings up next on the schedule, and then the Texans. That is 3-5 looks a lot better than 2-6. It absolutely does. And so if you come out of this week 3-5, you can still slip up a time or 2, maybe 3 times. If you come out of this game 2-6, you might only be able to lose 1 more game the rest of the way with 9 games to go. Either way, the Jaguars have put themselves in this position by starting 0-4, by not being able to take care of business against the Bears in London. This is a must-win, and it's against maybe the best team they've played all year. Tough spot to be in, but the Jaguars, they've got to scratch and claw their ways out of this thing. No doubt about it. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out ginjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.